So on the latest episode of the PCT podcast, we are joined by a former protege, somebody who was bigged up in the media about his career, and we're going to speak about how he got through that and also his journey in football. So without further ado, welcome to you, Dorryl Proffitt. Dorryl, how are you this evening, mate?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Fantastic, buddy. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us today. It's a pleasure to have you on. I want to get straight into it, really, in today's episode. Growing up, then, when was it you first got involved in football? Was it something that sort of came natural, or was it someone in the family got you introduced to it?
It was something that came naturally, to be honest. I was always into athletics. So with me being quick, athletics is something that I always used to do. Tuesdays and Thursdays at Northwood Stadium, 100 metres and 200 metres. And alongside this, obviously, with me being fast, I took up football, but quite late on, probably about age 10 or 11, when I signed up for my first Sunday team at Trubshire Cross.
Right, yeah. So then, was football something that, as I say, you were edged towards, or was it like, say, a group of social friends that were playing and were like, "Oh, Doz, you're rapid, come play for us"?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I always obviously was interested in football as well as my athletics, playing it at school, and yeah, I think it was more of a social thing as well, to be honest, with my mates, and my mate's dad at the time, who was the manager of my first team, who obviously encouraged me to sign up.
Fantastic. Can you remember your first team? Who were they called?
Burslem Bombers, they were called at Trubshire Cross.
Oh, Burslem Bombers. Thinking back then, was there a point when you realised, actually, I'm pretty good at this football, Lark, and I can team it with the athletics? And was there maybe a decision to be made to go down the path of football or athletics?
Yeah, like I say, athletics was me main kind of interest at the time. Obviously, again, with me being quick and stuff. I used to run for the city, kind of compete in different tournaments and got all my medals and certificates. However, obviously, with me football, started off in goals at first. Yeah, so I used to enjoy being in goals. I used to support Liverpool at the time, and Davy James was the goalkeeper. So I always kind of wanted to be like him. But as we started doing training, as a youngster, you used to kind of play outfield as well a lot, and I used to kind of score some goals. So that was when I kind of held down my position as a striker.
So there's probably a bit of a decision to be made by your mate's dad at that point. Do we keep you in goal? I assume you were doing okay in goal, or do we play him out and get some goals up there? And the best form of defence is attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I like I say, I used to play out in training and score some goals, and then I think I got trialled outfield one game and I scored a hat trick or something like that, and I think that cemented my place.
So at this age, 10 or 11, you've just signed to the Sunday side. You're just getting into the game. When was it that, or were you even aware of any interest from professional clubs, obviously watching you?
Yeah, so from a young age, it went really quick for me. Like I say, I signed for my first Sunday League team, 10 or 11. And then, like I say, I started off in goals, then I went up top, scoring goals for fun, really. And then, obviously, at a young age, you always used to kind of hear people talking about scouts being on the sidelines. They kind of were them guys who had the long coats on, and they appeared like a kind of a serious type of person at that time, so kind of you would hear about Port Vale, Stoke, and etc. being there, but I think more so when you went or when I went to these tournaments with my Sunday team in Liverpool and Manchester and stuff like that, six-a-side, where you'd get more variety of scouts, to be honest.
So you mentioned there, obviously you'd hear people talking about said scouts being there, and it was quite serious. Did anything change in the way that you played then? And I understand that this is still at a young age. Was the thought of going professional even a thought at that point?
Kind of. Obviously, you know, when you were aware of hearing the talk or actually seeing a scout on the sideline who you thought maybe would, you know, be a scout, like you know, you had your players' parents saying, you know, pointing them out, oh, he's from Vale, he's from Stoke. He'd probably give you that extra little bit of boost to put it in a bit more, but it never changed my game. Yeah, so it was just one of them. I think as I started scoring more goals, and yeah, so kind of parents would point out scouts and stuff, and yeah, you know, you were aware that they were there at times, but he never kind of impacted on my game. I always kind of just stuck to the task and always believed in myself and in my game, and like I say, as I started scoring goals. There was a little bit of whispers and rumours around, obviously, different clubs being interested in me.
As you mentioned earlier, you said you're a Liverpool fan. Did you always hold out hope?
Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore. But
not
back
anymore.
then, when you followed Liverpool back then, was there that hope that maybe Liverpool would come and watch, or?
Well, there was always that hope, but kind of, I suppose it's beyond your wildest dreams, really, isn't it? You always kind of thought, well, I did, that if any club would come through, it would be either Stoke or Vale, or Crewe being local clubs. Yeah. The thoughts of you know, your big clubs like Liverpool, Manchester United, and stuff were probably something that you never really thought of.
So at what age was it then, that you had to make a decision? Was there concrete offers on the table from clubs, or were you invited in for trials? How did that work then for you?
Yeah, so when it started getting a little bit serious, I played a tournament in Liverpool, and I think we went on to win this tournament, and I got golden boot. And then from that point on, I think it was probably the week after, I came home from school, and I had a phone call on my mum's house phone. I answered it at the time. My mum was in the other room, and it was somebody named Bob Hughes who said he was a scout from Man City, and asked if he could speak to my mum. And within the hour, I had a call from Man City, Man United, Crewe, and Leeds, all within the same day. So it was take your pick, really.
So how must that have felt then? How old were you at this point? Picking up the phone to a Man City scout, but knowing 3 other big clubs are interested.
I think I was 13, going on 14 at the time. Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, how did that have an effect on you as a person then? 13, 14 years old, these big clubs are all vying for your signature when you've only been playing the sport maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah, it was surreal, to be honest. Like I say, I remember just kind of coming off, my mum coming off the phone, and I was sitting there and obviously just trying to take in what she was saying. And then followed on with these other calls, and I just remember me and my mum sitting down in the living room, just going, "Wow, couldn't believe it! Like literally, just happened so fast." And he ended up choosing Man City because Man City were at the time the most keen. So I think they called back the day after and the day after that, and really wanted me to go down for a 6-week trial. So I ended up going with that.
So the 6 weeks trial then, which is quite regular for anybody involved in academy football coming in. How did you approach that? Was it a case of, I'm just going to go and do what I'm doing for Bombers, or did you have to approach it a different way, knowing that possibly you were stepping up in terms of standard?
Absolutely. To be honest, I was terrified. Obviously, I've always played local football, Sunday league football, Saturday football, scoring goals. But I kind of knew that this was a whole different ball game. But at the same time, I was completely oblivious to what I was going into. So I started my 6-week trial, and I remember they chucked me in the deep end. There was already some academy players that had been already at the club for a year or two, coming through the ranks, coming through the ages, and I remember being chucked in the deep end and put in training amongst them, and we played some games, trialists versus established academy players, and mixed it up. And I remember being on the trialist team starting off, and we played a full 90-minute game, and I think the trialists ended up winning 3-1 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And I scored 2, and straight from then, I just kind of got that impression that I was being involved in the academy teams rather than the trialist teams, and kind of got that feeling. As I say, the trial was for 6 weeks. They ended up signing me after the first week.
Wow, that must have been a real confidence boost then. 1 week into a 6-week trial, did the nerves disappear then at that point, knowing that you were signed, or was it?
I think after the first day, the nerves went, because, like I said to you before, I knew I was going into a different ball game, but at the same time, oblivious to what kind of quality I was going into. My first day, I just remember using my strongest attribute, which was my pace, and I just remember having a lot of the ball and a lot of space in behind. And after the first day, I remember coming home and speaking to my mum, and I just thought, do you know what? I've got this. You know what I mean? So I just had that sense of feeling and the confidence from the coaches that were there at the time, who were giving me great feedback at the time. So obviously that lets you know that you're doing okay.
So again, I'm just assuming here that 1 week into your 6-week trial period, you signed. Does that mean an end to playing school football and grassroots football? And how did that feel, having to come away from your mates?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they signed me up after the first week, and that was just for the academy until obviously the age of 16, where again they assess you after leaving school to whether you're going to stay on the books or not. He was a YTS at the time. So yeah, things changed dramatically. I signed for Man City, and then I had all the kit, match day tickets, loads of different friends and family coming forward, asking if they could have tickets. I had loads of kits, spare kits. My friends asking if they could have some of that, and I just knew, obviously, grassroots football, which obviously was a big part of my life. It was no longer there anymore, and I was in this professional setup in Man City.
At this point there, you've got, like, say, a load of kit, people starting to maybe jump on a bit of a bandwagon and, get tickets to the game. Are you starting to pinch yourself at this point and think, is this real? What's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just crazy. Like I said, I was the same Dorryl from Cobridge, and all of a sudden, I've got all my friends around me who were just still my friends. We're still normal kids, and I've just got all this kit and football boots, and it was just crazy. It was just crazy. It went so fast, and then from that. Yeah, sorry, go on.
So, sorry, I was just going to say, did it have any effect on in terms of your schoolwork at all? Were you taken out of school at all?
Yeah,
or?
Yeah. So I went to Aywood High School, Stanfields. I left there at year 9. I did year 10 and 11 in a school in Manchester, and that was a school where Man City had put their academy players in. Because it kind of worked alongside their training schedule. So on a Tuesday and Thursdays, we would only do half days at school. So we'd get picked up, and then we'd get taken to the training ground where we'd finish off the afternoon doing training drills and stuff.
In terms of the social side of the game, there, as I say, 14 years old, year 9, being taken out of your school with your friends, your home, to put into and placed in the school in Manchester, that must have been a big change for you. And how did you cope with that? Did you have a good support network around you that sort of helped you embed into that so young?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first started school in Manchester, it was really difficult because obviously it's coming away from my school peers, my friends, you know, and trying to make new friends in Manchester, which was difficult at first because obviously complete different accent. I remember like being in class and some of the kids used to laugh at me because my accent was different, like particularly in English when we had to read out chapters of the storybook and stuff. My accent was different. I was from Stoke. I'm in Manchester. So I found it really difficult at first. And the travelling, I used to obviously catch a bus from the bus stop up the road from my mum's to Aywood High School, get school for just before 9 o'clock, where now I had to, you know, catch a bus into Stoke train station for 7:15. Then I had to catch a train 45 minutes to Manchester. And then we used to get picked up there by Paul Power, who was an ex-professional, and then taken to school. So everything had changed around me completely at such a young age, really.
I'm really intrigued in that, Dorryl, is that at that age, you're almost maturing quicker than the average you know, person at that age.
Yeah.
How was there ever a thought of, why am I doing this? Why am I having to get up earlier to go to school? Can't I just go to school here? Was there ever that sort of mindset, or was it a case of, I've got a massive opportunity here at Manchester City? I am not your average person, and most people wouldn't get this opportunity. What sort of thoughts were going through your mind at 7:15 on the train?
Yeah, literally. Well, like I say, it all happened really fast. So I've just gone from, you know, this kid who plays Sunday, Saturday football, going Aywood High School, to now playing for Manchester City and, you know, going to school in Manchester and stuff. It was difficult just having a good support network around me in terms of my mum, who was my rock, really. And, you know, always kept my feet on the ground and kind of reminded me in terms of, you know, when I used to get myself down or a little bit upset at a young age, saying, you know, it's too much, I can't do this anymore. Just kind of reminding me of you know, how far I've come and you know, who I represent and what I want to be, which was professional football. And these sacrifices have to be made.
And that's really interesting there that you mentioned these sacrifices had to be made. What did your average sort of day and week look like at that age? You mentioned the early starts with the train. What time were you getting home? Was the extra training to be done? How did that work?
So yeah, on a Tuesday and Thursdays, I'd be out of the house Monday to Friday for 7 o'clock, catching a train at Stoke Station for 7:15. On the Tuesdays and Thursdays, I didn't get back probably till about 7 o'clock, and then it was, you know, having my evening meal, doing my own work, having a bath, straight back bed. That's what my life was as a kid. You know, it was just really exhausting, really, because catching the train in the morning, catching the train back in the evening, followed by obviously extra football sessions on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we had training on the Wednesdays. So it was just trying to kind of balance me schoolwork and my football training at the same time, really.
Quite a big load to take on at such a young age.
Yeah.
For me, it's almost like you say, you're growing up really quickly, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind stage for you at this age. And was it tough seeing maybe your peers and your friends going out, enjoying doing what usual teenagers would do, and you're in doing these extra sessions and catching up on your schoolwork?
Yeah, of course. Me mates used to knock on my mum's at the time and ask if I wanted to go out, and you know, kind of at the age around 15 years old and stuff, you know, we used to kind of stay out a bit longer, and some of my mates at the time used to sneak a little drink or two, and you know, are you coming out? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I just couldn't be part of it because obviously, again, I had to make sacrifices in terms of representing Manchester City Football Club and their expectations.
A bit of a personal question here, is that would you, or do you feel that maybe parts of your childhood have been taken away because of the sacrifices that you made to make this career?
I'd say so, yeah. But I'd say at the same time, he bettered me as a person. You know, kind of give me that early discipline, and I suppose I had to grow up a little bit quicker than I suppose I needed to, really. But around the area I was raised in Cobridge, I think, without naming any names, I think, you know, a few of my friends kind of maybe went down the wrong path, and I suppose that could have been me. However, with football, I felt like it kept me on the right path.
Superb. Thank you for answering that. I understand that was a bit personal. So we're talking at YTS stage now. You know, as I say, you've got to that point, you get your YTS, suddenly you're getting tipped for future stardom. Was there any indication or any pressure that came with that?
Like again, as I said before, it just happened so fast. I remember signing for Man City. Then we had a tournament coming up. I don't know if you've heard of it, the Milk Cup in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a famous cup tournament that's been going on for many years. I don't know if it's still going on now, but we were preparing for that. Yeah, off we went to Northern Ireland to play this Milk Cup, where all the biggest clubs in Europe participate in this tournament. And we got to the final. We lost in the final on penalties. However, I got golden boot and I got player of the tournament. And everything just came from there, really. I think it was Gerald Armstrong, I think it is, who used to be an ex-pro, who presented me the trophies. And from that moment, I remember coming home, and there was all this talk about me. Other clubs wanting to come in, and Man City, within, I think, 2 or 3 days, had me in the office, and I signed professional contracts. I was in magazines, I was on TV, and yeah, it was just unbelievable, really.
Imagine that's quite a surreal moment. You've gone out and done,
yeah,
you know, I'm going to say your job as a confident young man who can score goals, and all of a sudden you're getting, as I say, magazines speaking to you, getting all this attention. I'm going to ask, how hard or how easy was it to keep your feet on the ground at this point?
Yeah. Again, I had my mum around me, who was obviously my support network. I remember running to the shops around the corner from my mum's, and it was Match magazine. And I remember getting the Match magazine because the boys at Man City were talking about, obviously, the issue it was going to be in. And I remember just looking at the pictures and some of the articles, which were, you know, it picked me out as being the future England star. And I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And I remember going into training a week or so after, and Alex Gibson, who was the academy coach at the time, said to me, I don't know if you've heard. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He just says, England are asking for you to represent them in an up-and-coming tournament. And that was just something, as a boy, you know, you dream of. And I just remember getting emotional coming home and just saying to my mum, he wasn't confirmed because it was later confirmed in post. But yeah, it was just an unbelievable moment.
Superb. And again, I can't even begin to imagine the feeling of, you know, going about your business, going to training, and just having that little arm around you. Look, Dorryl.
Yeah.
England have come calling. So you mentioned there with that, how did you feel about being told you had the opportunity then to represent your country and knowing you were going to go away for periods of time at training camps?
That for me was the moment when it hit home. Not so much signing for Man City. Obviously, I know it was something big, and kind of appreciated my position and working hard. It was the England call up for me. Obviously, watching the England games growing up as a kid, and European Championships, World Cups, and England shirts I've had growing up as a kid. He was just something that was just one of the greatest moments in my life. Really, just remember just getting the post and the letter with the three lions on in the corner, and I was just like, and he reeled off the squad for up and coming game against Scotland that was live on Sky Sports. Wow. And I just remember thinking, this has gone to the next level now.
Wow. Have you kept those letters as memories for the grandkids?
Kept everything, mate. Yeah.
Oh, superb. What memories? I mean, as you say, that's some stuff only people dream of. And you're now in these England camps, and as you say, you're going live on Sky Sports. I want to tap into the mindset there. What are you thinking at this point? You've gone from being introduced into the sport through a social group, and then all of a sudden this meteoric rise because of your ability. Suddenly you're representing England. What went through your mind when you stepped on the pitch for the first time wearing that England shirt?
It was unbelievable. So we met up in camp. We met up in Crewe. So we stayed in the hotel in Crewe, which is obviously local to me. We had a couple of training pitches, quite local. Met up with the England squad that Wayne Rooney was in, my first England squad against Scotland. And I was really nervous. I remember turning up. We had to wear, suited and booted. And I remember meeting the England coach and the players. Some I had already played against with their respective clubs. Some I've never met before. And I just remember training, and I was just really, really nervous. What reassured me was most of the players knew about me, and they were talking highly of me. So just and the training games and the training sessions and stuff, it just made me feel at ease that, actually, I don't need to be nervous because people are bigging me up and people know about me. So I remember my first England game, it was played at Chester City Football Club. I started on the bench, came on at half time, and within 5 minutes I scored on my debut on live TV on Sky Sports. And that was just a moment I'll never forget, really.
I can imagine that only fueled the flames for the furore that was going around about Dorryl Proffitt at that point. You've already mentioned one big name there in terms of Wayne Rooney. There was some big names in that group in that England camp. I was going to ask you the question of how did it feel going in to play with Wayne Rooney at the time, but I think the question here is with the sort of speculation around you and your ability, other players must have been thinking, I'm going to go and play with Dorryl Proffitt. How did that feel, knowing others were speaking about you and were probably thinking, I'm going to get to play with Doz?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, meeting up with the England squad and stuff, played against most of the players for their respective clubs, and I knew about them. Somebody knew about me, but like I said, they were bigging me up. And I remember when we were playing training games and stuff, where you have two captains and you pick your team. I was always kind of first or second pick, and kind of just got that feeling that they knew about my qualities. More so coming on the back end of the Milk Cup tournament, that obviously was a big tournament, and we managed to get to the final, and I got golden boot and played the tournament. So I think most of it was from that.
So the England camps, again, all that buzz going on your debut, 5 minutes into your debut. We're back at the club scene now, and you must have been itching for some game time there. You then had the loan to Coventry. Were you excited and looking forward to hopefully getting a run of games?
Yeah, it came about a bit randomly, that did. I remember, I think, playing under 19 academy football. And then I was represented by the PFA at the time, an agent called Alex Black. And I remember him calling me and saying, Coventry City were interested in having you on loan. And obviously at that time, I didn't really know what a loan was, or what it kind of entailed. So I said yeah. I went Coventry City on loan, with the view to play first team football. I think I was 18, 19 at the time. I went to Coventry City Football Club. I stayed in Coventry in the lodges, training with the first team, and it was a massive change, because at that particular time I was still training with the reserves at Man City. So to step up to first team football at Coventry with men, and I'm probably still at a young age, was an experience. However, I played a few first team games, scored a few goals, but I picked up an injury at Coventry, an hamstring injury, and that kind of ruined my chances there, really, because I don't think I really ever recovered from that moment.
So something I'm interested in here, again, with the social side of things, people that know you as, obviously you love your roots and where you're from. You're training at Man City, living in Coventry, and then you get this injury. How was that at that point, being away from home? And it's still at such a young age. 18 is quite young still to be moving away from home. How did you feel at that moment? And again, and I'm going to go back to the support network. How important was that when you picked up the injury?
Yeah. So leaving school, I was living in Manchester, staying in digs, which obviously was difficult at a young age, 16, 17, living away from your friends, your family again, not driving at the time. So it's not like I could pop home when I wanted to. So yeah, it was really difficult. Literally, my friendship and with my boys and my relationship with my family were just all through phone calls, really, because I was in Manchester, focusing on what I needed to do as to play football. So going from digs in Manchester, then going to Coventry, again, still at a young age, I still felt my life was all over the place. Living in Coventry, I still had me some of my stuff and my digs in Manchester, and then obviously my family home in Stoke-on-Trent. So yeah, it was really difficult, but it was work, wasn't it? It was football, and that's what I loved, and these sacrifices kind of had to be made, really.
Obviously, you mentioned it was a hamstring injury, and with the makeup of sort of your game was sort of, I would say, short bursts of speed. When you recovered from the injury, or did that ever play on your mind that if I'm too explosive, it might go again?
Yeah, absolutely. That was, I think, my first injury in football I ever picked up, and I think maybe it was. Again, going into first team football at Coventry, and the demands, the intensity of the training sessions with the first team. Again, I was really quick as a teenager and stuff. Then sharp bursts of pace and stuff, day in, day out in training sessions. I remember I did it in a training session. I remember doing a burst of pace on the left wing, and I just remember feeling my hamstring go, and that was, again, like I say, that was the first time I'd picked up an injury before, and it was like, wow, what's this kind of thing, and I think I was 6 weeks in the physio room, and yeah, and it's not nice at all, being in the injury room. I don't wish that upon anybody when all your colleagues are, your professional players are out there playing and training, and you're having to do rehab in the gym room and stuff. It's horrendous. So yeah, I struggled, obviously. I went there with high hopes, picked up that injury, I think, a month into my loan, I think it was a 6-month loan at first. And then coming back from that, then it was light training work, and then I was back in training sessions, and then I just kind of struggled to get going again, really. So Coventry didn't pick up on extending my loan, so I went back to Man City.
I just want to allude to an interview Michael Owen did. He mentioned that he believed he peaked at 19, 20 years of age because his strength with his pace, and he then had to adapt his game to. I think he mentioned he had an hamstring injury quite early as well. Would you say that you then had to look to adapt your game when you went back to Man City, and maybe your strongest asset, apologies if I speak out of turn there, of your pace, is now sort of been taken away or hampered?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, after this injury, I think for a few weeks, it was always playing on my mind, because I just remember how painful it was. And as you know, as a football man, after you get over the injury physically, it's still mentally that you still have to get over it, because something like that, if I was going for a run in training or in a match, it would still be kind of on my mind. Again, so I went back to Man City and started to fit in back with the under-19 squad, and playing reserve football for Man City. So it was one of them, back on it.
So back at Man City then, was there a point, did you ever fall out of love of football? Was there a burnout from sort of the expectation and pressure to succeed at all?
Yeah, so when I went back to Man City, I had a taste of first team football, training with first team at Coventry. So I went back to Man City, and then a few of the under-19 lads got moved over from the academy training facilities over to Carrington to with the first team. I was one of them. So I was playing reserve team football, training with the first teamers, but kind of never really got a sniff in. Obviously, the first team squads, just playing reserve team football, which I was happy with at the time. But then obviously I started getting a little bit frustrated, because I remember having to sit down with Kevin Keegan, and he obviously, at that moment in time, I had Robbie Fowler, Nicholas Anelka, all these footballing legends in front of me. So as a young lad, I was knocking on the door and saying, I want an opportunity. And I remember Kevin Keegan saying to be patient and just to keep working hard and training, and the opportunity may arise. And I just remember just kind of continuing to train and playing reserve team football. And at that time, it wasn't enough for me. So I remember having a meeting with Kevin Keegan and my agent, and Kevin Keegan didn't want to let me go. However, at the time, he said he didn't want to keep an unhappy player. So I ended up mutually coming out of my contract.
And from there, am I right in saying you then came to the non-league scene and play there, or was the other clubs involved?
Yeah, I went to, so I went from there to, it was kind of a messy situation, really, because I mutually came out of my contract at Man City. We shook hands and I went my own way. I had an agent at the time who then promised me this and promised me that. So I ended up going on trial at Preston North End. I was there for a couple of months playing reserve team football, training with the first team. But then it came about that Man City held my registration until I was 20-something years old, and I was only 19 at the time. So if it was that another club that had signed me, then they would have to pay Man City compensation of like 100 grand or something like that. Right. So I found myself in a difficult position, because I was training around these teams in the Championship who were wanting to sign me, but weren't willing to pay the 100 grand.
That must have been a really frustrating time, because again, you've gone from your meteoric rise the frustration of wanting to play football and then not being able to. Would you say from the heights of football that you've seen, you're now starting to experience maybe the darker side of agents and misrepresentation and, you know, the messy contracts and stuff?
I just felt like, obviously, as a football player, all you want to do is play football, and I just felt like it started getting a bit political. You know, having these agents representing me, you know, I'd say high percentage of the reason why I came out of my contract at Man City is, because obviously I wanted to push on and play first team football somewhere, but because my agent at the time had promised me, you know, we'd get a club just like that. You're Dorryl Proffitt, you're playing for England, you'll get a club. So I came out of my contract and found myself travelling around the country, Preston North End, Millwall. I think there was Derby County, a few different clubs who I was training with the first team, but there was no contract on the table, and this was due to this compensation, which I think was 100 grand or even more than that. So I just found myself in a place where I was playing football, I was playing games, but I wasn't signed up anywhere, which it was a really dark place, really.
You know, without prying too much here, Dorryl, how are you feeling at this point? You mentioned that it's a dark place. You know, these people you put your trust in then are not able to get your club. Where do you go from there? Because surely you just want to play football.
Yeah. So I've got, you know, I've got me fellow professionals, all at different clubs around the country, messaging me and calling me, what's going on? Like, have you got a club yet? And I'm like, I haven't got a club yet. And, you know, like I say, you become a little bit of an embarrassment as well. That I've just come out from training with Robbie Fowler, you know, Nicholas Anelka, Joey Barton, Sean Wright Phillips, to being in a position where, you know, I'm training with clubs, but I've got no contract on the table. So like I said before, I went to Millwall, and a manager taken over at the time was Nigel Spatman. And Nigel Spatman was involved in the England squads through under 18, under 19. So he had me down, and I trialed down there for a few weeks, and he offered me a contract on the table. And I finally was like, wow, you know, this is the start of me again. So then I remember training with the first team, playing a few reserve games. A contract was being drawn up, and then Nigel Spatman got sacked because I did all pre-season with Millwall, and then started the season whilst my contract was being drawn up. I think we were 5 or 6 games in, and we didn't have any luck in those results, and Nigel Spatman got sacked. So the agent was speaking to the board, to the chairman at Millwall, and I was Nigel Spatman's player, and so on and so on. So I remember they getting a Norwegian striker in at the time, and that contract was no longer available for me. So at that time, then went back to the drawing board, thinking it's football for me anymore. You know, shall I come play more local football? I signed for Crawley Town. They were in the conference at the time, so I played a season down at Crawley. Enjoyed that, and then I had my first child. I had a relationship back in Stoke. I had my first child, so I ended up coming back to Stoke at the end of my contract at Crawley. And then that's when I signed for Leek Town.
I can only imagine. I'm sat here now, frustrated because you know. So I can't even imagine how you were feeling. You know, you've gone from being tipped to stardom to this political mess, and on the verge of getting your contract with Millwall at the time. And again, I would say politics coming into it. You touched on there. You're thinking, is football for me? Was having your first child a factor of saying, do you know what, I need something concrete, let's go back home and build on that?
Yeah. So obviously, as I said, living in Crawley, I'm still in a relationship and with a girl in Stoke-on-Trent. Obviously, we had our first child just as me contract was coming to an end at Crawley. So obviously coming back home, having my son, I had other offers on the table. Different conference teams down south. I had still represented by an agent who said I could go to America, play football over there on a good contract. Did put me up in my own house, give me a car, etc. But at that time, obviously, becoming a parent for the first time, I didn't want to be away from my family, so I decided just to stay more local. At the time of signing for Leek Town, obviously, again, because it happened so quick, I still, had contacts and friends in the game. Even when Wayne Rooney burst on the scene and scored that wonder goal against Arsenal for Everton, I was still in contact with him regularly, and it was kind of a massive shock, to be honest, that these players who I'd been playing with and playing alongside were pushing on, and I was out of contract, really, playing non-league football.
Do you look back, Dorryl, and maybe regret pushing for maybe that first team opportunity? And I know that it's hard to say now when you mentioned you've got world-class strikers, seasoned pros in front of you. Do you ever sit and think, what if you'd have stayed with the 19s, and could you have burst onto the scene a la Wayne Rooney?
Yeah, absolutely. I was respected at Man City, and I think I left there far too soon because I still had 2 years on the contract. So obviously leaving my contract 2 years early, who does that? But it was probably it was bad advice from the agent. Yeah, so I was comfortable at Man City. I'd been there for many years. I had a good contract, and I kind of, looking back, wish I would have stayed there. And I think if I would have seen my contract out, then maybe things would have been different in terms of the compensation and stuff. I either could have broke through Man City because the year after I left, the likes of Lee Croft, Bradley Wright Phillips, Stephen Ireland, who were all my friends in my age group, all kind of went on to play first team football. So I suppose seeing out my contract at Man City and seeing where it took me, probably by leaving the club early, maybe give me a bit of a bad reputation. So yeah, it was one of them, really. But yeah, definitely, if I could go back, I would have remained at Man City and saw it through and see where it would have took me, really.
So now, as you mentioned, you're with Leek Town in the non-league scene. How did that differ to the other teams, so Crawley, Millwall? How did that differ in terms? I'm not talking standard here, but I obviously assume again that training load was lower. You're now having to manage your time better with work.
Yeah.
And how
I enjoyed it.
That differ?
I enjoyed it at first because it was something new, something fresh. I remember signing for Leek Town. I was on a good contract. I think the players at Leek Town at the time were on £100 and something a week. I remember I was on, I think, 400 and something a week, which they obviously did push the budgets to obviously facilitate me at the time. I remember Sentinel coming around doing an interview, again, going from the professional game, coming to Leek Town, and I remember it just being a bit of a buzz, and I enjoyed it at first. part-time club, training once or twice a week. It kind of suited me at first. Then I started training, started playing, and it was a massive shock to me, to be honest. Something that I really struggled with.
And again, what was it? Was it the style of play? Was it? Would you say you were targeted because of the tag that came with you?
Yeah, I think it was a factor of many things. It was the lack of training facilities. I couldn't stay sharp on my game because, again, not training every single day, twice a day. Getting targeted in football matches, people kind of had heard who I was, where I come from. So getting kicked a lot. The pitches I really struggled with. Again, I'm a player who likes to play football, get on the ball, using my pace. I've gone from football pitches like carpets to mud baths at Leek Town, and no disrespect to the club, but the pitch was just horrendous at the time, especially obviously with in the winter seasons and stuff. And it was just something I really struggled with. The style of football as well. I think the higher level give you time, give you space, respectively. Professional game. However, I found non-league football, I think it was just the positioning. You'd find yourself and kind of heaps of players in one particular area, and just completely different to professional football.
And you sort of moved around the non-league scene, teams such as Buxton, Witten Albion, teams that are closer to home. Did you still enjoy playing at this time, or was there ever a point it felt like a chore to play, and had that spark and excitement ever gone?
Yeah, it was up and down really throughout my non-league experience. I remember some really good times at Leek Town. Again, although I found it difficult on the pitches and the style of play, made some good friends, and we had some good home and away days and some good results. I then went on to, I believe, Witten Albion, which the pitch was a lot better. And I started enjoying it. We started climbing up the tables and doing really well. Buxton, again, went there. He was a good setup, a good manager at the time. Reedy, I enjoyed working under him. And then I went on to Hensford Town, which was a good club, good facilities. I started doing well there, and football league scouts at the time were sniffing around, and I felt like I was working my way back up there. Never kind of panned out going anywhere, but I just knew at the time, playing on the left wing and getting some assists and scoring some goals. I remember hearing my name flying about through different clubs in the football league, and it just felt nice to feel that again, really. Although nothing came of it.
I mean, we're talking a few years later now, and you're playing back with your friends in the Sentinel Cup, and you scored the winner in that game, and again that earned national coverage. How did that then feel from going from being this England future star to coming in the non-league scene and all of a sudden having a kickabout with your mates and the press are involved again and you're getting national coverage?
Yeah, it's just nice, but just different, isn't it? Like, respectively, just having the kick around with my friends, and we played the cup final at Kidsgrove, and I scored the winner, and that's all it was really. Back to the pub after, celebrate the win with a couple of beers and stuff, and he was nice, obviously, to win any trophy and to be able to do your bit in scoring the winner.
Before we sort of wrap up the conversation and go on to our quick fire questions, where hopefully I can make you feel a little bit awkward, no less awkward, and maybe you can dig a couple of friends out. What does the future hold for you now, Dorry? Are you still enjoying your football? Are you still involved anywhere?
Yeah, so just playing for fun really, and for fitness, just 5-a-side throughout the week. Obviously, it's been difficult with COVID being around at the moment with the restrictions of lockdown. But yeah, I play 5-a-side in the week when I can, training with and playing with Kids Grove reserves at the moment, which I'm enjoying, and just trying to get my fitness back up and to play my part and helping others with their game and scoring goals and stuff.
Is there any future aspirations to get into the coaching side?
I've always been asked this question in terms of, like, obviously my footballing background. But no, I think there was a stage where I thought about going into coaching with obviously my football knowledge and stuff, but not for now. Maybe in the future.
maybe. Last one before the quickfire questions. What advice would you give to any aspiring footballers?
If it is that you've obviously got yourself to a stage of playing professional football, being signed up, obviously, I'm assuming that's something that you've wanted with playing football in the first place. Grab the chance with two hands. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, but just keep pushing through and follow your dreams, make those sacrifices. Also believe that football's about opinions. So at the same time, someone can make it. They can, they can break it at the same time. But just stay patient, and when your opportunity comes, again, like I said, make sure you grab it with two hands and take it.
Top advice, which I hope anybody listening will take on board. And as you mentioned there, football is a game of opinions, and that's what makes it so good, but also frustrating at the same time. This is maybe a chance for you to dig a couple of ex-teammates out in the past. Quickfire questions is never really that quick, to be fair, but let's get on to it. Best manager or coach played under?
Best coach, Stuart Pearce. Obviously, nicknamed Psycho. He's nicknamed that for a reason. But yeah, I made sure to put it in under his sessions because you didn't want to get in an argument with him. Trust me.
Who's been your best friend in football?
My best friend in football, Stephen Ireland, Bradley Wright Phillips.
Toughest opponent?
Toughest opponent. I think you'll know this name, being a Stoke fan. Robert Hoof.
Yeah.
He was
Berlin Wall.
He was at Chelsea. I was at Coventry and we played him away, and I just remember standing up against this guy I didn't know at the time, and who was Robert Hoof, and I just remember the first challenge he did on me in the first couple of minutes, and the guy felt like metal. Literally felt like metal. He was a unit. But he gave me nothing that game anyway. So I'd say he was Robert Hoof, who was my toughest opponent.
Wow. Who's been the best trainer?
You might remember this one as well, being an ex-Stoke player, Glenn Whelan. Glenn Whelan, I was at Man City with, coming up the ages. He was a year above me, but obviously, as I got moved up and I was training with the older boys, and going into the reserve team football, he would train as he played, and he gave 100% every single training session, every single game. If you misplaced a pass in training, he would be upset with you. He was just a top pro and somebody who who I admire a lot, really.
Well, I've never had the opportunity to watch him play, watch him train, or be involved in it, but he's my idol as a player. So, well, that's high praise there. Who's been the best player you've played with?
Wayne Rooney, without a doubt.
What's been your best moment in football to date?
The best moment representing my country on my debut on Sky Sports and scoring, and also getting me England caps. That obviously I've saved. Show me kids and my grandkids.
Not too shabby that. Biggest wow moment. Has there been anything that's sort of just taken your breath away in football?
I remember being 16, 17, and I got moved from the academy training up to the first team for a few weeks. And I remember going in the gym, and then George Ware, a previous Ballon d'Or winner, came in the gym and rubbed me on my head and asked me my name. And I just remember looking up at him thinking, wow, what an amazing moment meeting George Ware for the first time.
Superb. Biggest role model or influence in football?
My biggest role model, influence, R9, Ronaldo the Brazilian, and Thierry Henry. I think they were two legends of the game, respectively. That made me fall in love with football, really, and try to emulate my game around them.
This has probably been the most difficult one. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Wow. Honest. A joker. Honest, a joker.
Stumped.
I'm stumped for the third. Miserable.
It's the first time I've heard miserable on the podcast. Is there anybody that you would recommend or like to hear on the podcast?
An ex-teammate of mine. I don't know if you've heard of him. Ryan Connor, Neville Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
They're two of my friends who have got their own story to tell in the professional game. That maybe I'd like to hear them on the podcast.
Fantastic. I will get in touch with them, as they are mutual friends. Dorryl, look, we've been chatting now for over an hour, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time. It's been such a great chat, and I just want to say thank you for being so honest. You know, I can only imagine it's been tough, provoking a couple of maybe those memories and decision making, but for you to share that with us and the listeners, I think, or in fact I know that if we can hopefully inspire one more person to go on that pathway, then you've certainly done that tonight. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, mate, no problem.
I want to wish you and your family all the best moving forward, buddy, and you stay safe. And as we're doing this prior to Christmas, I want to say have a wonderful Christmas and stay safe.
You too, mate. No problem.
Top man. Great stuff. Stay safe, mate, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
Okay, mate. Take care.
Hello, we're Tile Central UK, local tile stockist here on Trentham Trade Park, Stanley Matthews Way. Our opening hours are 8 till 5 in the week and Saturdays till 12.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy the content that we're trying to bring to you. Don't forget, new episodes will be released every Monday. You can find us on the iTunes Store, Spotify, and if you want to see the video, you can see it on our YouTube channel, PCT Football Coaching.